So, today we are talking about the truth about what makes a relationship healthy. And the reason why I'm doing this today on our very first live of 2022 is because I wanted to start the new year off right. I wanted to take us back to basics. Because if we want to break the cycle of toxic relationships, we have to know what we're moving towards. We have to know what the goal is. We have to know what a healthy relationship looks like so that we can create it. The point of doing this live today, of talking about what makes a relationship healthy, is because if we've had toxic relationships, we may actually not have ever seen a healthy relationship. This was the case for me. I had a lot of experiences that were unhealthy. I actually really didn't know what a healthy relationship looked like. The first time I experienced one, it was brand new for me. I hadn't experienced it before, so it was really like I was learning this from scratch. So when we've had toxic relationships in our past or in our childhoods, we then very often go on to recreate those dynamics in our romantic relationships. And let me know if this was you. Let me know in the comments, did you experience this? Has this been your experience? To just have many different toxic relationships over and over again in different forms. So sometimes we can even go our whole lives without knowing what a healthy relationship is. So that's why I'm doing this live today. This stops here. If you're here watching this, you are ready to change that. No more toxic relationships. We're going to talk today about what healthy relationships look like. So here is what makes a relationship healthy. I have about 8 different categories we're going to go through. And this is not only for our partners. When I'm talking about these things, these are behaviors that we ourselves can practice. Because if we want to have a healthy relationship, we not only have to look for this in a partner, we also have to do it ourselves, right? We got to be the person who we want to be with. So, first thing, what makes a healthy relationship? Emotional responsibility. What does this mean, emotional responsibility? This means taking charge of our own happiness, our own emotional well-being. Doesn't mean that our partner is not going to make us happy or be there to support us. It means that we're not entirely relying on our partner to be that sole source of happiness, to be the only thing that makes us feel worthy of the things that we have in life, the only thing that is boosting our self-worth. So it really just means we're not relying on them entirely. We are taking charge of our stuff, our emotional house, we could say, our happiness, our fulfillment. So we do things that fill us up. We have our own life. We have our own friends. We do the things that make us happy. And then our partner is a very nice, accompaniment to that. They're not, again, the sole source of our happiness. So we take good care of ourselves. We do the things that make us happy. We do the things that make us feel good. And if we're unhappy and the relationship is healthy and things are good, we're not blaming our partner. So sometimes, you guys probably were aware of this if you've been in a toxic relationship, your partner would tend to blame you for things that really didn't have anything to do with you, but maybe they were just generally unhappy. That's a toxic relationship. In a healthy relationship, that's not happening. If you're unhappy and it's really not about the relationship, you take care of that yourself. You can talk to your partner. They can be a support for you, but you're not saying, hey, partner, you are the one that is causing this problem. You are the one that is making me unhappy. Unless it's a situation that you guys need to discuss, that's a different topic. But emotional responsibility means you're in charge of your own emotional house, we could say. The second aspect of what makes a healthy relationship is the ability to grow and change. Flexibility, being able to accommodate someone. When I say change, I don't mean change who you are fundamentally. That's not what I'm talking about. Changing and growing means that your partner is able to adapt to meet your needs as much as reasonably possible, and you are able to do the same for them. So you probably know, if you've been in a toxic relationship, how bad it feels to be with someone who doesn't do that, who has no desire to meet your needs or to adapt to you or to stop doing something that bothers you or to do something that makes you feel good. You know, it's like no matter what you say, like you can beg someone, you can like use all sorts of positive reinforcement. This person is not changing. And it feels awful. It feels lonely. It feels like you don't matter. That's a toxic relationship. So the ability to adapt and change is something that makes a relationship healthy. Again, it doesn't mean you have to change who you are. You're just able to change your behavior to accommodate your partner as much as reasonably possible. You're not overextending yourself. You're not giving too much or adapting too much to where you're losing yourself, but you're able to do what you can for your partner, and your partner does that for you too. The first time that I was in a healthy relationship and my partner was accommodating to me, like I said something that was upsetting me and he changed it. I was like, whoa. My entire nervous system calmed down because I wasn't used to that. I was used to having to like fight so hard for someone to adapt to me, and even then it didn't really happen. So this is another huge component of what makes a relationship healthy. Okay, so far we have what makes a healthy relationship: emotional responsibility, the ability to adapt and change for your partner. The next one is a couple different things. I've put them all together here: kindness, compassion, empathy, and acceptance. I put them together because they're pretty similar, but there are some nuances we're going to talk about here. The reason I put these here is because if you've been with someone narcissistic or someone who lacks these qualities, you probably know just how important it is to have them. When you don't have them is when you really feel it. You're like, ugh, this is not a healthy relationship. This person isn't treating me well. I don't feel like they're very nice to me. They have zero empathy for me. They really don't care about me. So we want someone who won't judge us, who will be there for us when we need help, who isn't just there during the good times, they're there during the hard times too. They have empathy for us, meaning they're not going to criticize our feelings. They're not going to tell us we're too sensitive. They're going to understand. They have those feelings too. Maybe they don't always feel the same as us about certain things, but they know what it's like to feel scared, to feel anxious, to feel sad. So they understand. They have empathy. We want to strive also here. In all of these categories, everything that I'm talking about, we also want to strive to be this way for our partners. So our job is to show up kindly, to treat someone how we would want to be treated, to have compassion for someone. I like with all of these things, I sometimes throw out a caution because these are things we want to practice in a healthy relationship. If we have too much kindness, too much compassion, and too much empathy for people who are not treating us well, when we're in a toxic relationship, this is where we get into trouble. So I'm not talking about that here. I'm talking about when we're in a healthy relationship. These are the kind of things that we want to practice. So that was number 3. Number 4 of what we want to look for, what makes a relationship healthy, is warmth and affection. It feels so good to be with someone who wants to give you a hug when you're having a hard day, who wants to be physically intimate with you, and not just sex, just who wants to hold your hand or touch you. This is a really important part of a healthy relationship, that physical connection, someone who is warm to you. If, like I said, if you've been in toxic relationships and you didn't have that, you probably have some idea of how important this is. It feels terrible to have to beg someone to be affectionate to you or just even to pay attention to you. So warmth and affection is a really huge part of what makes a relationship healthy. All right, so that's number 4. The next thing, what else makes a relationship healthy? You enjoy time together and time apart. Either extreme would be considered unhealthy. If you are spending all of your time with your partner, like 24/7, that's too much. That you can develop patterns of enmeshment, and that's when you actually start to lose yourself. You can lose your sense of who you are and what your needs are in a relationship. So that extreme is not good. And then the other extreme of spending no time together is also not good. That can lead to feelings of abandonment, loneliness. So we don't want to spend either time in those extremes. Some time together with our partner is good, and then some time apart is good too, so that we can be close and develop intimacy, and then also have our own life and still maintain our sense of who we are and our sense of self. That is so important to keep a relationship healthy. What else makes a relationship healthy? You learn through conflict. So here's the deal. In a healthy relationship, you will have conflict. It's not this, like sometimes when we've had toxic relationships, we can think of a healthy relationship like this dreamy, peaceful thing. It is peaceful for the most part, but there is going to be conflict. It's not like it's this conflict-free situation. There will be conflict. The difference between a healthy relationship and conflict and a toxic relationship is when you're in a healthy relationship, the conflict eventually brings you closer. Whereas in a toxic relationship, the conflict pulls you further apart. It creates distance. So in a toxic relationship, conflict can lead to a couple different things. It can lead to abuse, I'm trying to think what else I've had happen to me. Stonewalling, neglect, withdrawal. So you actually end up feeling farther apart after you've had a conflict. In a healthy relationship, it doesn't feel like that. It eventually leads you to understanding more about each other and learning how you can continue to adapt your behavior to make the other person feel as comfortable as possible. That doesn't happen in a toxic relationship. So even though in the moment, the conflict in a healthy relationship, it's uncomfortable, it's not pleasant, you might be triggered, but you eventually come to the point where you calm down emotionally, you can talk about what happened, talk to your partner, share how you feel, share how they feel, and you learn how to prevent that conflict in the future. So it's not a matter of having no conflict in a healthy relationship, but the conflict in a healthy relationship is a normal and healthy part of how you evolve and how you develop intimacy in that relationship. It's actually a positive thing rather than a negative thing that it often turns out to be in a toxic relationship. The next part of what makes a relationship healthy is you feel comfortable being yourself. You feel safe to be who you are, to say how you feel, and to share your thoughts with someone. So in toxic relationships, as you may know, you're not always safe to do this, right? You can be judged, you can be criticized, you can feel put down, you can actually be put down. So in a healthy relationship, your partner is not doing that. They respect you, they respect who you are, they respect how you move through life, and they respect your opinions and what you think, even if they don't agree with it completely. They may not always agree with you, and you may not always agree with them, but you're respecting their right to have that opinion, to think and feel differently, and they do the same for you. So you can practice validating each other's opinion, and this makes a really healthy relationship. My partner and I have actually been practicing this. So like when we're talking about some things that might be a little bit controversial, or that like we know the other person doesn't totally agree with us, we practice finding something about what each other has said that we agree with. Because even if we don't fundamentally agree with something that someone has said, there's usually always like one thing that we can agree on. So we practice saying like, yes, totally, I agree with you that blank. Let me just think of something. Yes, I agree with you that pizza is really delicious. Even though like maybe I don't really like pizza, which is not true, I love pizza, but just for the sake of this example, So I say something like that. Yes, I totally agree with you that pizza is pretty awesome. And at the same time, I'm worried that if we eat pizza every day, we really won't be that healthy. Something like that. So we try to avoid saying the word but, because that can be invalidating. So these are just the kind of things that you can practice that will make a relationship healthy. And we would ideally want your partner to do the same for you. So again, feeling comfortable to be yourself and express your opinions without being judged, without being criticized, without being invalidated. All right, guys, and then the last aspect of what makes a relationship healthy is you encourage each other and inspire each other to be your best selves. So really what I'm saying here is the relationship brings you up rather than pulls you down. So toxic relationships drain you. They make your life harder. You guys probably know this from experience. Like when you're in a toxic relationship, it takes up so much of your time, your emotional energy, because you're like always putting out fires, it feels like. Like this person always has something either to say about you, something to criticize about you, some problem that they need to talk to you about in the relationship. It's like never ending. Healthy relationships aren't like that. They bring you up. They inspire you to really be the best version of yourself. They inspire you to live your dreams, to do what feels good for you to do in your heart. There's a reason why I'm able to show up here and do this work to support you guys, because I do feel so, I'm trying to think of a good word here. I do feel so supported in my relationship that I have a lot to give now. Whereas I talk about this a lot. I tried to start my own energy healing business while I was in a toxic relationship, and I couldn't do it because that relationship was just so draining. It took so much of my time and energy that it just didn't go anywhere. I really tried hard, but like I said, the relationship took up so much of my time, it just didn't happen. So a healthy relationship will give you energy. It will actually fuel you to follow through on your dreams and to live the best life possible. So in summary, let me go through here. What makes a relationship healthy? Emotional responsibility, taking charge of your own emotional well-being in your emotional house, so to speak. The ability to grow and change, being able to adapt to your partner and your partner for you. Kindness, compassion, empathy, and acceptance. Are they kind to you? Do they treat you well? Do they accept you? Warmth and affection, having someone who wants to be intimate with you, who wants to be physically affectionate with you. Enjoying time apart and also together, having that ideal balance of time you spend in the relationship with each other. You learn through conflict instead of conflict tearing you apart or creating distance in the relationship. You feel comfortable being yourself and sharing your opinions with your partner without being criticized or invalidated. And you encourage each other and inspire each other to be your best selves. This is what makes a relationship healthy. So Cassie was saying, I was feeling sad about my chronic illness one night last week, and my partner hugged me and listened to me. Oh, I love this. It was so healing. I did that once with my toxic ex, and he became annoyed and said I ruined the evening with my negativity. Yeah. I am so thankful for my sweet, healthy partner. Yeah, Cassie, this is like the perfect illustration of the difference between a toxic and a healthy relationship. Yeah, toxic relationship, your partner just is like, I don't have time for this, versus a healthy partner, they want to be there for you. They want to help support you. So I'm so happy for you. Thank you for sharing that. Cassie's saying here, I'm still learning that conflict is okay in my newer healthy relationship. Yeah, like that's why I said before, we can tend to have the thought or the idea that in healthy relationship there's no conflict, but there totally is. We actually want to have conflict in a healthy relationship, because if we're not, it usually means one of a couple things actually. It can sometimes mean we just don't feel safe to truly be ourselves, and so we're just shutting everything down. We're not sharing anything. And that's not healthy. We want to be able to share our opinions. So that could be happening. We could not be having conflict also because we're just so checked out. Like actually, if I think back to my marriage, we actually didn't have much conflict because my partner really just didn't show up. There was like nothing to have conflict with. Like I always had things that I wanted to talk about, but there really wasn't a conflict because again, my partner just wasn't fully emotionally available to actually have any conflict with. He was probably shutting a lot down and not sharing his opinions very freely. So yeah, we actually do really want to have conflict because it means we're feeling safe to express ourselves. And when we put two people together who have different backgrounds, they have different opinions, there's going to be conflict. There's going to be points of disagreement, but you can work through it. We've had a few conflicts and we do feel closer afterwards. Yeah, exactly. We listen and share without being abusive or mean. Night and day from the gaslighting, invalidation, and abuse when my exes and I argued. The healing journey is so worth it. Yes, it is. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute here. But yeah, I mean, again, like conflict isn't pleasant. It's not fun to have conflict. I don't like it either. Ideally, I wish that there wasn't any conflict. But like you, Cassie, I kind of do have to remind myself, oh yeah, like this is supposed to happen. Again, yeah, the conflict is the same with me and my relationship. It's not abusive. It's just two people having different opinions and two people who also get triggered because of our own traumas and things we've experienced. And that's normal. It's just how we handle it that makes the difference between a toxic and a healthy relationship. So I appreciate you bringing that up. So Lisa is saying, my current partner is showing all the healthy signs, yes, but it's been less than 2 months we are dating, so I'm still confused if he's real or not. Well, Lisa, I would be not concerned, but you're right that, yeah, it's only been, you say here, 2 months. So that is pretty early on in a relationship. So you are actually wise to be cautious. I tell people that I think the ideal time to wait before getting engaged and getting married is at least 2 years, because it gives you plenty of time to get to see someone in all different situations that can come up in life. See how they deal with tough times. See how they handle conflict. See what happens when they're going through a tough time at work. This could be actually a really great relationship. Or maybe it does not have the ability to stand the test of time. We'll see. But again, yeah, you're wise to be cautious. So yeah, I would continue with this person and just be yourself and see how it goes. If you start to see some signs down the road that maybe it isn't the greatest relationship, then okay, you can reevaluate. But if you're not seeing anything at this point, it sounds pretty good. But yeah, you are wise to be cautious. So Elizabeth is saying, my ex was like your ex. Okay. I also deal with chronic illness. And guys, speaking of chronic illness, yeah, like I have had a chronic illness for a long time too. So I can also relate to this. And I did, like, I can share with you the difference between having a toxic relationship and having a chronic illness and having a healthy partner now. Yeah, like when I used to feel so alone in the chronic illness that I experienced with a person who was emotionally unavailable. And when I was in a toxic relationship, it's very different now being in a healthy relationship. My partner's totally understanding about it. And any accommodations that I have to make in our lives, he's totally okay with it. Like, he gets it. He himself has not experienced that, but he's empathetic to it. And that's really the main difference. So it's funny that you guys are bringing up the chronic illness here. I can totally relate to that. So Elizabeth is saying, yeah, I'd love to find someone like your current partner. You totally can. You totally can. If you have listened to this list, or if you're listening to this list now and you're like, Lindsay, I don't believe this. This feels like a total fantasy. There's no way that there are people like that out there who can show up in this way, who can be healthy partners. Nobody acts like that. I would say, yeah, like I get that. If you had told me, like if you had showed me my relationship now 4 years ago, or if you had even told me that a relationship like this was possible 4 years ago, I would not have believed you at all. I would probably just have like laughed out loud and said, yeah, right. Like I would not have believed you. But you guys, I can tell you that it is real. If you heard this list and like all these doubts just came up and maybe some like resentment or some jealousy or like any kind of negative feeling to hear this list, I get it. But I can tell you it is real and I'm living it. And again, I was someone just like you who did not think that this was possible, did not think that there were people out there who were as interested as I was in having a healthy relationship. So what I can tell you is that there are men out there who are like this. And if you date women, there are women out there who are like this. They know what it takes to have a healthy relationship, and they're actually doing the work. They're in therapy. They're working with a coach. They're doing whatever they need to do to get to the place where they can have as good a relationship as possible. So here's the thing. Do you know what they're looking for? What they are looking for in a partner is someone just like them. Someone who is just as dedicated as they are to doing their own work, who is on the path of healing, who is doing their healing work, who is bringing up all the stuff from the past that they need to do, who is working on opening their heart to have a healthy relationship. That's the kind of person that they're looking for. So, like I had this idea a while ago that to have a healthy relationship, like I didn't really need to do anything. Like I just had to be nice and just put myself out there and hope to find a healthy partner. It didn't work because I wasn't doing the work that I needed to do. And therefore, I wasn't attractive to those types of people who were doing the work, who did want someone who could take care of their own emotional house, so to speak. Like I talked about, that emotional responsibility. Who had the behaviors, like knowing how to resolve conflict in a healthy way, that is very attractive to a partner who is also doing that work. So, if you want this, if you do want that healthy relationship, your job is to get ready. Your job is to do that healing work, to open your heart, to let go of all those toxic exes, to get to the point where you can trust someone again so that you can be attractive to the types of men or women who are ready to do that for you. So again, if you want this, your job is to practice these healthy relationships, practice being kind, practice resolving conflict in a healthy way in all the other relationships in your life so that you can get to the point where you're ready. You're ready for someone to come into your life who matches how you are. Because that's really how it works. Like if you think about it, if you're going to do all this healing work, you're going to level up, you want someone who's doing that too, right? That's how it is for other people. If they are doing their own work, if they are in the place to have a healthy relationship, they want someone like themselves too. So this is everything that I do in my 12-week Living Free Finding Love program. So if you're interested in working with me, send me a message or send me an email if you're watching this on YouTube. This is what I do. I help women to let go of their exes so they can be totally emotionally available for a partner. Because here's the thing too, I talk about this a lot. Healthy relationships, partners who are healthy, they can feel when you're not totally emotionally available. Now this doesn't mean you have to have worked through every speck of emotion that you feel for an ex, but they can tell when you're largely unavailable, like if you're still talking to your ex, you haven't totally gone no contact yet. They can tell, and that's actually quite unattractive to them. They don't want somebody who's tied up in all these other people or all these other relationships that hasn't totally closed the door on things that weren't working for them. So this is what I help you do. I help you to let go of your ex, to open your heart, to heal stuff from the past, and to know what to look for so that you can have a healthy relationship. So again, reach out to me. If you want to fast forward this process, again, this is what I specialize in. It can take you weeks and months rather than years to get to the point where you're ready for a healthy relationship. So again, send me a message, even if you don't think that it's possible for you. You don't have to totally believe it in order to find real love. You just have to have like just this tiny little bit of like, okay, you know what? I think it might be possible. I don't totally believe it. I'm not totally sure, but maybe. Because I'll tell you, I didn't totally believe it was possible either until I experienced it. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in working with me, send me an email at lindsay@livingfreehealing.us. You can also visit my website, which is here in the description. And if you want more support, come join my Facebook group, Finding Real Love. You can catch these trainings live when I do them in the Facebook group, or you can follow me on Instagram at livingfreefindinglove. The link here is in the description.